Welcome back to the Shipyard. Today we are talking about Scout 608. Now, many of you are familiar with this ship because of the 2015 World Championship list, but we're going to take a slightly different approach with it. This ship came out in Wave 7, basically 1 year ago as of the posting of this video. And when it first came out, I didn't think all that much of the actual ship. With 3 attack, 3 agility, 2 hull, and 4 shields, it only comes in at 24 points, and compared to its big brothers and sisters in the Borg collective, it isn't all that much to write home about. However, it has a tech, a weapon, a crew, and a Borg slot, and that gives you a lot of flexibility, especially once the 50-point limit came into play, because now you still have 26 points to mess around with. The named ability on this ship is that after you move, you may discard one of your upgrades to perform an additional green or white maneuver, and then the standard text on a Borg Scout Cube is that you cannot deploy a Borg upgrade with cost of 5 or greater. Now, I like the hindrance that you can't deploy super big Borg cards. It prevents you from taking assimilation tubules or any of the big upgrades like Borg ablative hull armor. It's really a good balancing mechanism. I wish that more of the small ships would take riders like this, and I think it's a good card overall. That named ability gives you a ton of flexibility. Yes, innately you only have 4 total upgrade slots, but there's ways to get more. You can take a captain with an elite talent slot that gives you a 5th. You can take other cards like Sakona that gives you a weapon slot. You could take B'Elanna Torres that gives you a weapon and a tech slot. You can start taking upgrades that give you more upgrade slots. And that gives you a lot of flexibility. That's what Peter did on the World Championship list to give him a whole bunch of movement. But even if you just want to have 1 or 2 times to make a key extra move, that would probably be enough to put you in a good position more often than not. The maneuver dial is pretty standard for Borg. You get all the straights, all the reverses. 4 moves are red, the 3 reverse is red, and then the only greens are the 1, 2 straight, and the 1 spins, which I like. 4 green moves on a Borg ship is pretty good. 4 red moves is good comparison given that this is a small vessel, it doesn't have a lot of power, so it makes it very thematic. Of course, the Borg do get that range 1 to 2, 360, and that makes it powerful, and 3 dice is nothing to sneeze at. So this ship is moderately capable of packing a punch. Now there is a weapon in this pack that we'll get to, and that's going to be even scarier, but we'll wait for that. The generic loses a weapon slot, and of course a shield, and you save 2 points for that. And in all honesty, the loss of the weapon cripples this ship. It doesn't make it impossible to fly, but it makes it a lot more challenging. And I think that if it still had a weapon slot, that Borg Scout Cubes could be very, very playable. But as it is, it's perhaps a wise decision from a design perspective to get rid of it, but it also relegates them to a very support role, and I don't know that that's the best thing for the game. Anyways, it's what we've got, so I'm not a huge fan of the generic Scout Cube, but if you're looking for a 3rd Scout Cube, because you have the Scout 255 from the blind booster, then a generic works. I would probably take it over the assimilated vessels more often than not. We do get 2 captains in this pack. The first is 3rd of 5. Skill 3, 2 points. At the start of the game you get 3 drone tokens, and during the roll defense die step, you can spend 1 to roll 1 extra defense die. And you cannot deploy him to the same fleet as Hugh. Now, I like the timing of this card. You see exactly how many hits and crits that they've rolled, so you won't ever waste drones. But again, defense dice are fickle, and you have no idea if you're going to roll an evade or a battle station or a blank when you're rolling the dice. If this said spend a drone token to add an evade, then I would be more apt to like the card. As it is, I think it's better than nothing, but again, 3 drones only puts you at skill 3. Adding an extra defense die is nice, the timing's there, but very rarely is it worth just adding an extra defense die unless you've got a lot of extra defense shenanigans like the Federation, Will Riker, Elizabeth Shelby, Tom Paris, Sulu, enhanced hull plating shenanigans. So if you want a little captain that is already a part of that, and you're going something like Officer Exchange Program Fed Borg, then I could see throwing this guy on, and he's 1 point. So be it. We get yet another tactical drone, but this one is actually unique, and he is intentionally unique. He's skill 2, he costs you 1 point, and at the start of the game you get 2 drone tokens. Each time you defend, during the roll defense dice step, you can spend 1 drone token to roll 1 attack die. A hit or a crit damages the attacking ship as normal, and they don't get to roll any defense dice. This is a drone that I have taken into combat several times, and I love pulling this off. I take Magnus Hansen with me so that I can discard him instead of using a drone token. That way I get 3 shots with this. And yes, I have rolled 3 blanks or battle stations and done nothing, but I have also rolled 3 hits and crits on different shots. And the ability to annoy your opponent and do damage cannot be underestimated. This is damage that they can't do anything about. I don't care if they're cloaked, I don't care if they're rolling 8 defense dice with all kinds of conversions. It doesn't matter. This goes through, this hurts them, period. So, if you're looking for a tiny little support captain, somebody who can pack a little bit of a punch just in case, this is a guy to consider. We've got a bunch of really cool upgrades in this pack, 8 of them in fact. The first 2 are Borg upgrades, and we're going to start with Borg Alcove. Action, add 1 drone token to your captain card. You cannot exceed your captain's starting number of drone tokens. Now, we've also seen this in the Tactical Cube, and it's a decent card. Action to get an extra drone back. I'd pair it with that tactical drone I was just talking about. That gives you an extra, basically, counterattack against your opponent when they shoot at you. It's a nice little combo. Is it absolutely game-winning? No. Is Borg Alcove an absolutely necessary card? I don't think so, but it's a nice little support piece. It gives you some flexibility, it keeps your captain skill high, and sometimes you don't have a better action as the Borg. So, if you have the points for it, you might as well throw it on there. Another Borg card is Scavenged Parts. Whenever one of your upgrades is discarded, add 1 drone token to your captain card. You cannot exceed your captain's starting number of drone tokens. You cannot deploy more than 1 Scavenged Parts upgrade to any ship. Now this is a card that I like better than Borg Alcove. It works really well in combination with Scout 608, because you're naturally going to be discarding cards to get your extra movement, and this is going to give you drone tokens back for nothing. To me, that's a really nice combo, and then when you're done discarding all of your non-essential upgrades, you can discard Scavenged Parts, and you're good to go. Again, is it absolutely necessary? No. Do you want it all the time? No. But can it be a nice little piece if you have a captain where you're using drone tokens, like maybe the Sphere captain that uses drone tokens as basically a target lock? Yeah, sure. Moving on, we get 3 crew members. First up, we have Second of 5. Action, target a ship at range 1 to 2. Discard this card and 1 upgrade of your choice on the target ship. This upgrade may be used against a ship that is cloaked. Really nice crew ganking here. Works against anything. Goes through shields. Just an action. And it's a trade-off. Discard your card. Discard a card on somebody else's ship. And unless they have some way of stopping the discard, you're done. I really like Second of 5. I think that he has a place in a lot of things. I love that he works through cloak and through shields. And you can really mess somebody's combination up. Naturally following Borg progression, we have Third of 5. Action, target a ship at range 1 to 2. discard this card and disable all crew upgrades on the target ship. This ability may be used against a ship that is cloaked. You cannot deploy this card to the same fleet as Hugh. Now, this card is more situational than Second of 5. Disabling a whole bunch of stuff is only going to be situationally useful. But there are times where somebody has 3, 4, 5 crew/upgrades, and if you disable them all, that is going to put on the hurt. The more you do that, the slower they are at getting into the fight. And then you are controlling the engagement on your terms. Is Third of 5 worth the 5 points? I don't know. But if you know for sure that your opponent is running a super ship where they've got a ton of upgrades, then I think Third of 5 could be something that works for you. It's one of those cards that really depends on the play style of the people you're up against. Our last crew is Fourth of 5. Again, 5 points. Action, target a ship at range 1 to 2, discard this card and disable up to 2 shields on the target ship, then disable up to 2 upgrades of your choice on that ship. This upgrade may be used against a ship that is cloaked. Now this is one that I like probably the best of all the crew here, because it makes the ship easier to kill, and it slows down somebody's combo. It is pricey at 5 points, and it's a one-use card. But if you combo it with Goval from the Sung ship, then you've got an extra use of it. And that's true of all of these. But Fourth of 5 is one that can really mess up a combination. It could disable all of the remaining shields, and then things that work while shields are active no longer work. And that can truly put on the hurt. So, again, Fourth of 5, something to consider. I don't know that it's the absolute gotta-have card, but my point in saying all of this is that the crew that come in this pack are worth taking a look at. Moving on to tech, we have long-range scan. When attacking a ship at range 3, if there is a scan token beside your ship, during the modified defense dice step of the combat phase, you may disable this card to convert one of your opponent's evade or battle station results to a blank. Now, it's a little situational, but typically as a Borg ship, when you're attacking, you want to take scan. There's a lot of synergy with scan. And if nothing else, you don't have the battle station action, so scan is the most offensive action that you can take. So this is a way to make your attack pack an even bigger punch. And at 4 points, does it absolutely pay off? Not all the time. But it can make the difference between destroying a ship on turn 2 or turn 3. And one less turn of taking a shot from a ship can often make the difference between your ship winning and losing. So give long range scan a shot and see if it works out for you. The last tech in this pack is Subspace Beacon, 5 points. Action, disable this card to target every friendly ship within range 1 to 3 of your ship. Target ship or ships may immediately perform a scan action as a free action, then place 1 scan token beside your ship. Pretty cool card. Very pricey at 5 points, but I like that it's reusable. Granted, it does take 2 actions to use it again, one to re-enable, one to do the action again. But to give every friendly ship a scan action, whether they have it on their action bar or not, is actually a very powerful thing. It may not be the best thing at a 120-point game, but if you're playing a fun game at 150 or 200, then this becomes a very useful card. Or if you're running a 4 or 5 ship fleet, this is a very useful card. So, at 5 points, it's on that cusp. There's a lot of 5-point cards that are probably better, but this is a card that's situationally useful, and I think that there could be a place for it if you really want to scan, if you know that your opponent's doing a lot of stuff with defense dice. You have to know how to adapt to the situation. Alright, I saved the best card in this pack for last, and that is Meganetric Guided Charge. It is a weapon. You roll 3 attack dice, and it works at range 1 to 3. Attack, disable this card, You may convert one of your battle station results into a crit. Target ship does not roll defense dice against this attack, and it can only be purchased for a Borg ship. Now, why is this good? Well, first off, no defense dice. Second, you're almost always going to get a crit out of it. Those two things in combination are really, really scary. My favorite way to run this weapon is to take Picard 8 from the Enterprise E, and now I'm guaranteeing myself a crit against a faction, and then only rolling 2 dice, and I've got a decent shot of rolling a battle station there, and really saying, hey, you take 2 crits or 2 crits and a hit, makes things even scarier for my opponent. There are ways to boost up the attack dice here. You can take things like Denatra on a friendly ship, Haze on a friendly ship, Martok 9, all kinds of other things to boost attack dice, and I'm not going to get into all of them, but there's ways to make this attack hurt even more. Yes, they still get their shields. The other thing to note is that this attack is lethal to cloaked ships, because they don't get their cloaking bonus. So if you are cloaked, and you come up against Meganetric guided charge, don't stay cloaked. Do yourself a favor, get out a cloak, suck it up, and get your shields up. You'll last a whole lot longer, because a couple of crits directly to your hull, you'll be hurting a whole lot. So, overall, Scout 608, we know it's amazing because of what Peter did at the World Championship. But if you're not a World Championship level player, is it still worth getting? I certainly think so. Meganetric Guided Charge is a huge card for your OP play. All the crew in this pack have situational uses. The tactical drone is a really fun captain to just mess with. Being able to roll an attack die and do damage to your opponent hurts a lot. The named ship is fun. It gives Borg back some of their maneuver tricks, and I like it. So, Scout Cubes are the new answer to why the Borg are scary. Joseph, who was the number 2 player at Worlds, still calls this the absolute best expansion pack. I don't call it my favorite, but I certainly call it one of the best, and I think that that's a good reason to go out and buy it. Now, if you don't like Borg whatsoever, can you avoid this? Yeah, I think so. But you need to know what's in this. You need to know what's out there, because you're probably going to come up against it. And for that reason, it's still worth looking at. It's still a good ship, and you'd be remiss to completely ignore it all. So that's what I think about Scout 608. Thank you guys for watching, and until next time, we'll see you around the shipyard. Take care, guys.